Because of that climax, we thought it was necessary to take the hero of the story on a vacation, and that was the concept behind Dawntrail. If people want me to continue working on 14, then I will do it. But having said that, now I'm 52 years old, and if I end up dying, I will no longer be able to work on the game. So hypothetically, if we were hypothetically already developing it, I would say the progress is going smoothly.
This one might make for a worthy opponent.
Hello, I'm Alex, I'm the gaming writer at Radio Times, and we're here at Gamescom, and it's a pleasure to be joined by a game development legend, the director and producer of Final Fantasy XIV, Naoki Yoshida-san. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And I just want to start off by saying Final Fantasy XIV is 12 years old now, and it's one of the most popular MMORPGs in the world. What, to you, makes a great MMO?
So yes, Final Fantasy XIV will be finishing its 12th year, and it will be entering the 13th year in service. And I think the reason why we've been able to make it this far is because of our communication that we've had with our players around the world, which are our Warriors of Light. Every time I come to Gamescom, I have a chance to talk to members of the media and also our players as well. And I think it's thanks to that discussion that I've had with everyone over the years that has connected onto this result that we see today. And I think one of the important things as an MMO is to create an environment where players can log into the game, and they each have their own objectives about what they want to do in the game, and they have their own various ways that they want to play the game. And I think that is a very strong characteristic of an MMO. For a long time we've had our discussion with our players and members of the media. So when I think about the support that we've received from the players, the media, and everyone as well who's supported from the community, the only thing I can say is that I'm truly thankful.
On that note, you've mentioned every player has a different way to play the game. How do you manage to keep content fresh and exciting for all those different types of players?
That answer to that is a very difficult thing. I think there is no goal or answer in mind. As a developer, the only thing we can do is to put in strong efforts to provide endless possibilities. We always have to just constantly put in an effort in the game's development. When we look at Final Fantasy XIV as an example, we have housing implemented as a form of content in the game, and there are some types of players who like to use the housing as roleplay. Some owners of the house will use their house to roleplay as a bar, and when it comes to 7 p.m. each evening, the bar would open up and they would let players into the house as their customers, and the owner of the house would be role-playing as the bartender who would be shaking cocktails behind the bar. When it comes to the question about providing content in order to keep the players engaged time and again from tomorrow and for every time after tomorrow, for the people who are interested in roleplay, we would be thinking about things such as implementing certain motions which could be used for roleplay. But when we think about implementing content or things which would be incorporated into other formats of content, for things such as battle content, we would have to be thinking about different elements and different things to implement. And of course that depends on what things the players want to enjoy, and I think we always have to constantly think about what areas players feel they would like to have more convenience in, or what types of things players would want more to be implemented of. And I think the only thing we can do is to think about those questions and address those, and I think that's all there is to it. So there's no other answer apart from that. The only thing we can do is to ensure that we are constantly adapting, and this is something that I've started to feel really strongly about recently.
Would you say that you have a game design philosophy? And if so, would you say that it's changed over the course of Final Fantasy XIV's lifespan?
Yes, that's a difficult one to answer, because when you say philosophy, I think first and foremost, games are a form of digital entertainment, and so I think the question about whether players enjoy it or not is everything, and that's all there is to it. I think, for example, if you take a look at the example of creating an installment in a franchise, or whether it's creating a game and designing a game from scratch, the approach that you would take would be different. The approach that you would take with an existing series is that you would want to develop the game in a form that fans of the series would enjoy. On the other hand, if it's a completely new game, of course, to a certain degree, we would set a target in mind, but the approach that we would take would be completely different. So I think even though there's the same philosophy, as it were, the approach would be different. And I think when you think about it that way, there's not one sort of philosophy in mind, and the ultimate goal is just to provide an experience which is fun and interesting for the player, but depending on the customer, the approach to take would be different. In terms of my own career, working not only just on Final Fantasy XIV, but my overall career as a developer, I've now reached 30 years, and this is something that I would like to take and make the best of as a developer in creating games moving forward. And I think this is one area where I have grown as a developer, and I would like to continue doing my best in this area as well.
When Dawntrail came out a year ago, it received somewhat of a mixed response from players. What did you think you needed to do to sort of get it back on track and get things right in the player's eyes?
With regards to the story for Final Fantasy XIV, in the previous expansion, Endwalker, we reached a huge climax, and because of that climax, we thought it was necessary to take the hero of the story on a vacation, and that was the concept behind Dawntrail, and we thought that it was necessary for us to do that in order to create the momentum working towards the next peak that the players would experience. Having said that, as a point of reflection, I felt there was more that we could have done in the expansion, and to this end we are now working on the story moving forward to make sure that there is more hype and excitement that's generated in the story, and we are working hard on this moving forward. At the same time, Final Fantasy XIV is entering the 13th year of its service, and in terms of the game mechanics, historically we have always been working towards providing content as fast as we can to the community. However, we have seen that the customers' preferences and what they want to do in the game have changed suddenly. Of course, things were okay as it were in the game, but in response to the changes of players' preferences and the decision that we took to address that, I felt it was a little bit late. Of course, we have always been working on accommodating player preferences and taking on the challenge at the same time in order to provide them content, but the decision that we made in order to address the changes that we've encountered has been late. As we enter the 13th year of service for the game, in a way it was good that we got used to the way that we approached our development, but also on the other hand, in regards to the situation we faced and the way that we became used to our development has also been a bad thing, and we also need to work on ensuring that the way that we provide content is provided on a higher level, and when it comes to providing proof to our players that that change has taken place, that proof would be found in the updates and the content and the story that the players would be experiencing when we do deliver it to them. So I do hope that when we deliver that content to the players, they would play all of it and experience that content, and they would appreciate the changes that we've made in order to provide a better experience for them.
Is there anything at the moment that you can share about the next expansion?
Of course, we haven't announced the next expansion, so I think people are probably thinking, well, they probably are working on the next expansion. The only thing I would say is that we will do our best in the development. So hypothetically, if we were hypothetically already developing it, I would say the progress is going smoothly.
Okay, good to know. You've previously said that to get the best understanding of the game, you play almost every day to get that player experience. Are there any other games that you play and take inspiration from when it comes to developing the game? And if so, what are they?
Of course, I do play a lot of different games, and I do get inspiration from all of those games, but all of the inspiration that I get is always different, and it's very different. It's very difficult to provide a specific example, because I'm wondering, like, which game could I raise as an example which won't upset a certain group of people? To give an example of one of the crossovers, I would say there is a crossover with Monster Hunter Wilds. I have been a long-running fan of the Monster Hunter series, and I played right back from the first title in the franchise, and I think that the Monster Hunter team takes on a lot of different challenges as well in their development. There were various changes with Monster Hunter 2 and also Monster Hunter 3. The game has continued to develop, and with the release of the last installment, Monster Hunter World, which was released on the PlayStation 4, and it was more of a high-end title, I think that was the Monster Hunter experience which was really long awaited by a lot of fans of the franchise. For the Monster Hunter development team, that was not the ultimate goal and that was not the end goal, but they always wanted to take on new challenges without fear. And always make sure that they are trying to challenge something new. And that's something that we also feel the same way in the Final Fantasy series as well. And it's always a balancing act of us trying to take on new challenges, but also trying to protect the aspects which we feel should be protected as well. It's always a case for us when we're creating content that we make sure that we persevere and just stick with it and make sure that we give it our all in order to produce the content that we want to deliver. Another thing that I can say is that whenever we release a certain piece of content, things aren't limited just to that one moment in time, but it's always a constant effort of putting in our best efforts and taking on new challenges. Whenever I come and visit Gamescom as well, every year when I come over to Gamescom, I have a chance to meet with other developers, and we have a lot of discussions between ourselves, and we are able to discuss about maybe certain things that our concerns that we have between ourselves or other things, and going through our discussions and going through those talks, we are able to find that a goal in mind, and we're able to capitalize on that chance, and to as a result of that, that also serves as a form of inspiration. So I think that's also a very big element for me where I derive inspiration from as well.
Just one more question. Like we said, we're going into the 13th year of Final Fantasy XIV. Do you still see yourself as working on the game in the long term into the future, or are there other projects perhaps that you'd be interested in taking on instead?
As someone who started the relaunch of the 14 game, and I have the responsibility for that, as long as they don't tell me you've got to give up now, I will continue to make Final Fantasy XIV my life work, as it were, and as an employee of the company, if people want me to continue working on 14, then I will do it. But having said that, now I'm 52 years old, and if I end up dying, I will no longer be able to work on the game. So I do need to put in some good efforts to make sure that I don't die as well. But when I get older, so for example, if I reach the age of 60 or even older than that, maybe I can't always be working on 14, and there would naturally be new challenges that I would need to take on. So I don't think about things in terms of a short time span, but always I have in my mind, I want to continue working on the development of 14 and enjoying the game together with our players.
Yoshida-san, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise, thank you so much. It was so much fun, and thank you to everyone watching as well.